So, we continue the consideration of the null-dimensional mythological universe. Myths of the null-dimensional space. From the point of view of space organization, the null-dimensional universe is a universe point, enclosing the whole world. All phenomena and objects of the world are simultaneously in each other and in one point. In this universe, the quantum wave principle of physics is realized, according to which a point-size elementary particle is simultaneously a wave of infinite radius. In zero-dimensionality, the spatial principle, everything in everything, operates. In accordance with this organization of space, the highest ethical value here is the integrity, completeness and non-divisibility of universal life, present, everywhere, always and in everything. Everything that began to be was defined as good, nothingness was implied as bad. The pictorial symbol of this universe is the mandala. It is a circle or sphere with a dot in the center. In Sanskrit, mandala means circle. It is not without reason that Jung referred the mandala to the most ancient symbols of various religious systems and noted its psycho-cosmic universality. The famous Orientalist researcher Tucci also defined the mandala as a diagram symbolizing the metaphysical structure of the universe, as a map of the cosmos, as the universe with its cosmic consciousness from which individuals arise and in which they dissolve. As a cosmological model of the world, the mandala, as well as its variations, the sun cross, various crosses, various swastikas, two crescents in different positions to each other, the world mountain, the world tree, stars with different numbers of rays, etc., is used practically in all cultural traditions. The ancient Egyptian spouses, the sky goddess Nut and the earth god Geb, make up a mandala-like figure. Similar is the conjugal couple of the ancient deities of the Central Asian peoples, the sky god Tingri and the earth goddess Umai. Other variants of the mandala in the mythologies of different peoples are the images of the world tree and the world mountain. Connecting underground, earthly and heavenly spheres, four sides of the world, they also give a spheroidal organization of space, united by the principle of everything in everything, by the quantum wave principle of a point, which is simultaneously a spherical wave of infinite radius. According to null-dimensional mythology, the Milky Way is also considered to be the world tree. One of the many mythological names for the world tree is Yggdrasil, the Scandinavian giant ash tree that is the structural foundation of the world. The African analog of such a tree is, of course, the baobab. The images of the world tree are considered in detail by many authors, for example, Toporov and Eliade. In the null-dimensional cosmology, man is not yet an isolated individual, but is a being that does not stand out among other teeming creatures. All in all, is the classical biblical picture unfolded in the first chapter of the book of Genesis, the swarming of the multitude of created living creatures, and man among them is still equal to all others. You and I are of the same blood. In the null-dimensional universe, man did not envision his future separate life and individual immortality. Man's existence was an infinitely lasting impersonal involvement in the cycle of a single universal existence. From the point of view of ethics, man as an isolated individual had no place in this universe. The image of man could exist here only in accordance with the given dimensionality of mythological consciousness, i.e. in the form of a null-dimensional mandala-like likeness of the same universe, such as the first null-dimensional man, the Vedic primordial Purusha, sacrificed to the universal integrity of life. His existence is possible only in the form of the universe man, out of whom everything is created and who himself is everything. Purusha has many counterparts in different countries. These are the ancient Chinese man-universe Pangu, the ancient Scandinavian giant Ymir, the ancient Greek first man Anthropos, the ancient Iranian ancestor of mankind Gayamart, the Hindu creator of the world Brahma, and others. Ancient beliefs in the animation of all nature, the whole world, stem from the null-dimensional conceptions of the world. As in Arseniev's book Dersi Uzala, the taiga guide Dersi Uzala walks along the trail and explains to Arseniev. A squirrel, however, is also a human being, a tree, however, is also a human being, and so on. Everything is a human being. The null-dimensional animation of nature is depicted in a cycle of myths, which in classical folklore studies are called animistic and polytheistic. In particular, related to this cycle, primitive magic, having survived to our days, ceased to be called primitive, but its null-dimensional bases remain the same. Any phenomenon, for example, a man, and his image, for example, a doll, are one, have one soul for all, according to the principle of everything in everything. By influencing a doll, one can influence a person as well. This is the way magical thinking has developed. Two magical laws arise from the null-dimensional everything in everything. The first is the law of similarity. That is, the similar produces the similar and the effect is similar to its cause. The second law is the law of contact. When things between which contact has occurred continue to interact with each other even after contact. From zero dimensionality comes alchemy. This worldview that everything turns into everything leads to the idea that lead can turn into gold. You just have to know how. In the visual art of the ancients, the spatial everything in everything is conveyed in the Siberian ornamental animal style. When another animal jumps out of the mouth of one animal, a third animal jumps out of the mouth of another, and so on endlessly. In the zero-dimensional universe there is no time sweep. Time here is in a zero state. There is neither past nor future. There is only the present moment, which by the principle of everything in everything accommodates all potential times. This moment is perceived as if frozen, eternal. The present moment is eternity, as is the point, which is a spherical wave of infinite radius. It is on this sense of time that numerous myths are based, describing the repetition, cyclical nature of phenomena against the background of an unchanging and eternally lasting present moment. In classical folkloristics, these myths are called cyclic or agrarian, solar, lunar stellar, vegetation, etc. The central plot of these myths is the sacrifice of the mythological hero and his resurrection in the eternal cycle of dying rebirth. The myth of the grain that fell into the ground and resurrected as ears of a new harvest was associated, for example, in ancient Egypt with the name of the god Osiris, in Sumer with the god Tammuz. Death for these gods as non-existence does not exist. Their being is indestructible and eternal in its annual cyclic repetition. Their being embodied the natural and agricultural cycles. The life of other mythological heroes personifying the sun, moon, stars corresponds respectively with daily, monthly, annual cycles of death and resurrection. For example, the three Bogaders of the Russian fairy tale Vechorka, Zorka, Polyanaka personify the main moments of the daily solar cycle. Finally, one more kind of null-dimensional myths are myths of struggle with the previous dimension. These are myths about numerous snake fighters, dragon fighters, titan fighters, and other fighters with representatives of the minus-dimensional void. The line of wrestlers is endless. From Prometheus, speaking with fire against darkness, to Alyosha Popovich, fighting with the serpent Tugarin. For example, Osiris was killed by his brother Seth, a representative of the previous, minus-dimensional universe. In the null-dimensionality actually lay the foundations of many plots of world mythology, which later, as we shall see further, are reinterpreted in terms of new dimensional ethical levels. During the period of null-dimensional perception of the surrounding world, people live in a much more advanced form of organization of their community in comparison with the flock herd. People have a unifying feature, common language. This is the period of matriarchy, group marriage, where kinship could be determined only by the maternal line. Herds of people seasonally roamed for their food following herds of wild animals. Since time was felt to be eternal, the calendar was purely cyclical, correlating with the time of the plant harvest or with the period of animal reproduction, as in the Eastern European and Near Eastern variants of the pastoral calendar. In the peoples of the North, for example, the annual lunar solar cycle also corresponds with periods of reproduction of wild reindeer herds. This is the period of human sacrifices symbolizing the rebirth of nature in the cults of plant gods Osiris, Tammuz, and many others. The Nomer worldview can be expressed not only in myth. In our time, the work of the Peruvian singer Ina Sumac can also be called null-dimensional. Numerous voices of the jungle reproduced by her merge into one polyphonic voice of mysterious and integral life. Here we finish the description of the null-dimensional mythological universe and move on to the description of the one-dimensional mythological universe.